I've been, getting your emails and your group's emails for some time on the whole Iran nuclear deal and whatnot. What are your thoughts on the direction that the nuclear deal, this 5-nation and Iran nuclear deal, was taking us, we being the world, I suppose, versus the direction that Donald Trump seems to be pushing us with all his rhetoric around this?
I think what Donald Trump right now is doing is that he is essentially going to Congress and telling them, let's kill this deal together or I'll kill it on my own. But bottom line is, everything he's suggesting will go down a path that eventually will see this deal killed. I think the media got it a little bit wrong last week because they were expecting that he would kill the deal in one move, whereas instead he's killing the deal in 2 or 3 moves, but he's still killing the deal. And that's a disaster. And that's part of the reason why many people inside of his own administration are also very, very uncomfortable and flat out opposed to the direction that he's going.
And by killing the deal in 2 or 3 moves, now the first move that he has taken is he's refusing to certify that Iran is in compliance, even though everybody agrees Iran is in compliance. But that in and of itself doesn't kill the deal. What are the other 2 steps that you're anticipating?
So he's gone to Congress and he said, let's work on a piece of legislation that changes the terms of the deal. Well, no single country can unilaterally change the terms of the deal. That is a violation of the deal. Imagine if the Iranians were coming and saying, look, we're just going to change a bunch of the terms of this deal and we're not going to give up this amount of uranium or stop operating this amount of centrifuges. That would be a clear violation to what has already been agreed upon. Right. But beyond that, the specific changes he's asking for are changes that will ensure that the Iranians walk out. So if we go down this path with Congress, the deal will be violated, the Iranians will walk out, the deal will be collapsing. And then Trump said, if Congress doesn't do this, then I will terminate the deal myself. So either we kill the deal together or I'll kill it on my own.
Does he have the power to do that?
He's going to kill it.
Does he have the power to do it unilaterally?
He can reimpose sanctions through executive order, and that would be a violation of the deal. Right. And that would most likely lead to the deal collapsing unless the European and other countries really stand up to Trump, and also ensure that those sanctions cannot be imposed, because those sanctions actually would be targeting European companies, not necessarily Iranian companies.
So just, we probably should have started here in terms of this conversation. What would the consequences be? How would the world be different? How will the politics and the international geopolitics of this play out if this deal is shattered by Donald Trump's behavior?
Well, what the deal did is that it took 2 very bad options off the table. The option of the Iranians being able to build a nuclear weapon and the option of the United States going to war with Iran. If you kill the deal, those 2 options come back onto the table. And that would fundamentally change the geopolitics, because this would be a significant war. This would not be a minor military confrontation. This would be much bigger than the Iraq War. And 10 years after the Iraq War, we're still paying the consequences for that disastrous mistake.
So how is this viewed inside Iran?
Well, inside of Iran, the population, of course, is tremendously disappointed. They really wanted this deal. They're disappointed already because they believe that the U.S. had violated the deal and that much of the benefits were not coming through. But it's also another political problem that has been added, which is the conservatives in Iran from the very outset said, we don't believe in this deal. We don't believe the United States is going to be honest and live up to its word and deliver on its end of the bargain. It will betray this deal sooner or later. And the moderates were more pushing for the idea, let's give this a chance, perhaps there will actually be something that will trigger a broader reduction of tensions between the two countries. Now the conservatives have, in the eyes of many people in Iran, been vindicated. Because it's not even been a year and a half, 2 years, and the United States is already starting to undermine the deal. This will make it much more difficult in the future for any Iranian administration, for any Iranian foreign policy member of the foreign policy elite to make the argument for a negotiation with the West. Because the past has just been a long, steady stream of disappointments and betrayals in their narrative.
Is it a reasonable conclusion or assumption or acknowledgement or whatever that Iran is actually becoming more small d democratic, or have they been? It seems like that's the direction that the country has been traveling, at least over the last decade or two. Or has there been a reversal in that? You referenced conservatives in Iran.
So I think the Iranian society has been pushing for democratic changes for quite some time. And in the last couple of years, they've had some significant successes. Much of it has not been reported in the Western media. For instance, when Rouhani won a landslide victory in the presidential elections, defeating all of the conservative candidates combined, the media did not pay much attention to the local elections that also were taking place at the same time. Those elections are actually far more democratic because they don't have the same vetting system and guardian council interference in those elections. The reformists cleaned the slate in all of Iran's big cities, Tabriz, Mashhad, Isfahan, Shiraz, Tehran. They won all of the all of the seats in the city councils. And the city councils elect the mayors. And the mayors are very powerful in Iran. In the city of Mashhad, which is a very conservative city, a woman ran on a platform of opposing the patriarchy. Her slogan was, elect more women. She won.
Wow.
In fact, the number of women in the city council, I believe, tripled in that election. In contrast, just to put things in context, 2 weeks ago, Saudi women were allowed to drive cars.
So there's maybe a century-wide gap between Saudi Arabia and Iran in terms of human rights. We have just a few, about a half a minute left. We're talking with Dr. Trita Parsi, of the president of the National Iranian American Council in NIAC. What would you encourage my listeners and viewers to be doing right now to inform themselves about the situation and to become activists?
I encourage them to go to our website. There's plenty of material produced by us, produced by others. If they're in the United States, I strongly encourage them to get in touch with their members of Congress, because this is now in the hands of Congress. Oppose all new sanctions, because these sanctions will violate the deal. It will lead to the deal collapsing. And then we will be once again faced with the risk of war.
So the website is NIA Council.org. Dr. Trita Parsi, thanks so much for being with us.